We're rolling edge coat on the edge of our countertop. Usually a single coat is adequate on almost any surface unless it's really open porous wood like cut MDF. And in that case, all I do is I let my first thin layer just dry after I really work it in, and I take all the excess off. And then I'll just lightly block sand it with a foam sanding block, and then I'll roll another coat right on. And you'll really see how much that'll smooth it out, seal up your edges. Now, even if it runs a little thin on the edge, you don't see any major break in color there. After pouring equal parts A and B into the container, we're gonna mix thoroughly for approximately 4 minutes. If you see a lot of stringiness in the epoxy still, mix a little bit more thoroughly and scrape the sides of the container, scrape the bottom, scrape the stick, and try to mix that in. Now we're gonna switch pails. I'll scrape my container out with this stick into a new container, and then I'm gonna grab a new stick to mix this product in the new container. And the reason being is this is really going to prevent us from having sticky spots on the sides from any potential unmixed A and B. I almost always use a foam roller to spread my product. Prior to it flowing over the edge completely, I try to tack that edge up with my roller, and I'm just taking some wet epoxy and rolling it over that. That breaks that surface tension and really allows the product to flow nice and evenly over the edge. You notice I'm running the roller all the way from one end all the way to the other, and I'm not just running one single pass, and that is because I want this to be a very even coat, evenly layered. So a lot of people just run something across once, or they're going more for color, but I want a perfectly even layer because product does have surface tension, and if it's too thin in any one area, you will not get the coverage you're supposed to. We have what's called Treebeard. You can see that's a really dark green. I don't know if you can see that on the camera. This is Evergreen. And we have gold. All of my strokes are gonna start at one end of the countertop, and I'm gonna be careful that after I roll, I don't pull my roller straight back across the countertop, at least not where I've already rolled. I could roll and then drip back across something I haven't rolled yet, but I wanna be careful that I'm not dripping all over something that I finished, and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about here. I poured all of my products into a clear container with a little bit of clear epoxy that's already been mixed. And now I'm just gonna do a simple dirty pour across my piece. Always start off one side and work your way all the way across the far side. I'm gonna pour a little bit out on my work surface here, just to deal with. A lot of people will take and they'll actually pour veins out of a container, but you have two things going against you here. And I'll do it just to prove, but if you noticed, it was hard for me to control it without it leaving a squiggly mark right there. So, which is not a problem, we can fix that, but it's something you're gonna wanna be thoughtful of because that's difficult. Whereas if you were to take and get this at the right consistency and work off a stick or something per se, you could do some really cool veins. Now, a lot of people will not even move on to this step. They're gonna just put the products down and swipe it and it's gonna look beautiful, and that's all I would recommend if you don't wanna try to be really artistic. So I'm gonna try to do some veining in here. Now I'm gonna try to do a layering effect here, just to show you guys how to do it. All I'm doing, I scraped up some of the drips, and I'm just letting it barely fall off the stick and get surface tension. I usually try to do this in a single direction, so it's very linear with my piece. You get a really cool, you don't see it now, but when I torch it, you're gonna see a really cool fractured effect come through here. And that's just another, so I just try to show all these techniques. You don't have to do that, but if you do want to, you can do this really simply without being an artist if you just are kind of thoughtful as to how you do it. I like to mix a lot of these colors, get them pouring on the stick. I mean, if I was on a kitchen countertop, this is where I'd call it quits, most likely. I think you can go overboard with the veining very quickly. I also believe that less is always more. Now all I'm doing is I'm popping air bubbles using a torch. Obviously, if you are working with an open flame, make sure you don't have any flammable stuff in the room and that you don't have any alcohol down on the countertop. You don't want to start a fire. But I always torch my countertops, and you'll really notice a lot of little tiny bubbles popping, and then it really self-levels, and you'll end up getting the true look that you wanted to get out of your piece after you torch it. And I try to stay linear with my torching veins. I try to keep them the same direction as any other major pattern I put in the top. So since all my passes with my roller were linear lengthwise on this, I'm gonna do the same thing with the torch, but I will hit everything twice. And sometimes on a job site or whatever, I'd come back in here in 15, 20 more minutes, let any more little air bubbles come to the top and torch it one more time.